joining us today. And I'm pleased to welcome you on board to our webinar, Ready for the Future Aviation in UAE and North Rhine-Westphalia. My name is Jan Frankulo. I'm the project manager and responsible for innovation and network management at Aerospace.NRW. My role is today to accompany you through this webinar. And let me start by telling you what's awaiting you today. We'll start with the presentation of Germany, so we get especially the region of North Rhine-Westphalia, so we get the perspective from us first. So for that, Elena Matekina, General Manager and Timo Kurt, Project Coordinator at NMWP Global Business, will give you insights into the general business opportunities of North Rhine-Westphalia. And thereafter, we will follow by a deep dive into aviation and in space. Dr. Harald Krämer, Network Manager of the Aerospace.NRW, will present potentials in our region. And I'm very pleased. After that, I'm very pleased to announce that we have our special guest from the Mohammed bin Rashid Aerospace Hub and Dubai South, Mr. Mohammed Al-Falazi, the Director of Aerospace. He will present business opportunities and the strengths of the Dubai and the UAE region. After that, all to our fellows in the chat and then also in the voice. After that, you will all have the first opportunity to ask questions. Thereafter, we will start with our second part, which will focus on education. First will be Mr. Mark Kammer, co-founder and director of operations of Dynamic Advanced Training. He will provide insights in flight and cabin training in the UAE region. After that, last but not least, we are happy to have Mr. Professor Dr. Kai-Uwe Schroeder, head of Institute of Structural Mechanics and Lightweight Design, and also chair of the Senate of the RWTH Aachen University. He will address the academic opportunities and expertise in North Rhine-Westphalia. And thereafter, you also have a final Q&A session where you can raise all your questions you might have during the complete webinar. Some words regarding the rules for this webinar. Please mute your microphone. Any questions can be addressed in the respective Q&A session, or if you want to have it also anonymously, you can write your questions into the chat. This also gives you the opportunity to write me in a direct message, which I can read out for you later on. But now enough from my side, and let us start. Best contact if you are interested in partnership businesses or investments in the industry of North Rhine-Westphalia is NRW Global Business. They will give you a brief overview now about who we are and what in general terms NRW has to offer. So I give the stage now to Elena Matekina and Timo Kurt. So I need to stop, and now, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, good morning from my side to all of you around the globe, and especially to the UAE. I'm just looking for my colleague, Mrs. Matekina. She's already in. Because yeah,
she is also as marked as co-host, so she just need to unmute herself.
Do you see me?
Yes.
Yeah, we see you and now hear you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you, Jan. Thank you, Timo. Dear audience from the United Arab Emirates, dear partner from NRW. Welcome on behalf of NRW Global Business, the trade investment agency of the German state of North Rhine-Westphalia, or in short, NRW. My name is Elena Matekina. I am head of country division of Central and Eastern Europe, Turkey, Israel, and MENA region. I would like to say that our webinar today is a success of our meeting in Dubai in November last year. Please allow me to briefly introduce our organization, NRW Global Business, and assure you that we, together with our clusters, will do everything possible for the development of cooperation in the field of aerospace between United Arab Emirates and our federal states. We are the state-owned trade and investment agency of the German state North Rhine-Westphalia. Our head office is in Düsseldorf, the capital city of North Rhine-Westphalia. We have 17 representative offices in 10 countries worldwide. Unfortunately, not in the Gulf region. And our shareholder is a state of North Rhine-Westphalia, represented by the Ministry of Economic, Industry, Digitalization and Energy. Our tasks are support of investment project in North Rhine-Westphalia, expansion and settlement on foreign company to North Rhine-Westphalia, special tech companies, develop new and grow foreign markets for our NMWP companies. So our focus incoming and outgoing business. Generally, we evaluate the cooperation between all countries as a field with great potential. Already today, 100 companies from United Arab Emirates are working in North Rhine-Westphalia. Numerous North Rhine-Westphalia companies have their subsidiary in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So, and now I will hand off the office or screen my colleague Timur Kurt.
Yeah, first of all, I hope you can hear me. Yeah. So I will take over now and will introduce a short video of our organization. I hope you are able to see and hear what is shown now here in this video. I want to do it like this.
And now, what?
NRW, that's North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany. The ideal location for the future of your business, right in the middle of Europe. Digital transformation is really changing the game here.
Also smart manufacturing. Robots are caring for many things, like Paul. Well, almost like Paul.
NRW is also the best place in Europe for smart cities and new mobility.
And for some of tomorrow's most promising pilots.
We have the densest R&D network in Europe. Innovative companies and more than 100 research institutes make tomorrow's medical technology become reality today.
Little Max, he's blind, but he can read books now.
It's an ebook.
Oh, of course.
In NRW, you find top-notch startups with an innovative spirit and some of the best institutes for cybersecurity in Europe. And also, some of the most powerful supercomputers in the world.
I call her Jules.
Not forgetting our outstanding talent pool of high potentials from all around the world.
And with outstanding quality time. Okay, back to work.
All that makes NRW Europe's heartbeat. Join the beat.
So, I hope you got some impressions of our dynamic region, North Rhine-Westphalia. I will recap the moving pictures in some figures and facts. Currently, I show you a picture where you can see North Rhine-Westphalia, which is in the west part of Germany, bordering to France and Belgium. And there are some facts why the business location in the center of Europe is so important. And it is also symbolized by the number of the GDP of North Rhine-Westphalia. It is a really strong economy, which makes up around 20% of the German GDP. And on a world ranking, it would be on 18th place. So it is similar, strong, like an economy of Turkey, for example. And a reason for that is a huge customer base. So in our region, there are living 20 million people, But if you draw a circle around the capital city of Düsseldorf, you would reach about 160 million people. And this is a huge consumer base with a relatively high income. And so therefore it is really attractive for companies to be in our region. And therefore 19 of the 15 top selling companies are located in our region. But these are not only the big companies. So we have different kind of sized companies, but one of the most important factors is that North Rhine-Westphalia is the industrial heartland of Germany, even from Europe. So there are many different branches and sectors, but based always on industry. So we have around 200 employees in the field of mechanical engineering, and many big companies and small and medium-sized companies, around 710,000, which are the backbone of the economy of North Rhine-Westphalia. So they provide a big number of employment and also have a big portion on the GDP. And many of them are hidden champions. So especially also in the field of aviation and automotive, there are many companies maybe not known to everyone on the globe, but in their field, they are really experts. But additionally, we have also world market leaders in our region. So you can see here a few examples from all the sectors. It is from steel, about energy, about chemicals, telecommunication, aviation, so everything you can find in our region. But not only the domestic companies are here, but also international active conglomerates, corporations like Vodafone, Air Liquide, BP, and Huawei has their European headquarters in our region. And what is the reason for that? So great talents, of course, plays a big role, and research and development landscape. So we have around 800,000 students in more than 60 universities. 100,000 of them are foreign students, which shows the intercultural environment of our region. So we are a mixed population. And also from other parts of Germany, nearly 30% of all German students attend universities in our region. And we have more than 60 technology centers and technology transfer units. Here are just some to mention, especially also in the field of aviation, aerospace. We have some really good institutes and universities providing deep R&D. Another important aspect is the logistics. So we are strategically located in the heart of Europe. So it is also a favorable place for logistics centers. So nearly 25% of all logistics centers in Germany are located in our region. And you can see here some examples for that. And maybe a fact which is not known to many people, there are about 120 ports, and most of them are, of course, inland ports. We have waterways. The Rhine is an extraordinary waterway with huge potential. And so Duisburg is also the biggest inland port on the world. But we have other logistical advantages, really good rail network, which allows you to reach the cities, to commute in a really fast and flexible way. And we have also international flights from 6 airports. 2 of them are acting globally. A few of them are more in the European scale, but to this, the colleagues will add more information, I guess. But I want to close my presentation with a really important aspect. Of course, these hard facts regarding economy and regarding education has a high factor in choosing location, but of course soft factors are playing also a big role. So we have a high quality. Here you can see a picture from Cologne. This is the Rhine I have mentioned. and we have many national parks. We have hiking tracks, more than you can walk within a short time, and many historic monuments, as we are a really rich region with historical monuments, and of course more than 50 star awarded restaurants, so you have something for your stomach as well. Thank you very much, and I give the word now to Jan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you for the deep dive into the opportunities in logistics and the potential business sites in North Rhine-Westphalia. But now coming next to our next topic, North Rhine-Westphalia is unfortunately not yet known as the center of aviation and space in Germany. However, the global industry would not work without these parts, services, and knowledge of our region. More on that topic will be presented now by our next guest, Mr. Dr. Harald Kremer. So, Timo, you need to stop your presentation. So
yeah, I tried, but I cannot do it right now. So maybe you can throw me out.
Maybe it works. Jan, do you see my?
Now it's okay.
Now it's building up. Yep, perfect.
Okay, fine. So I start. Yeah. Also, dear ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome also from my side. My name is Harald Kremer, as Jan already told you, and I'm the network manager of Aerospace2GO. It is my pleasure to be here today and to tell you a bit about our network. Our network is the Aerospace Industry Network for the federal state of North Rhine-Westphalia. So let's get started. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them during our first Q&A session. So let's start with our mission. Maybe so now it works. So let me start with our mission, which describes our aims in a nutshell. Our goal is to increase and innovative strength and competitiveness of North Rhine-Westphalia's economy in the aerospace sector by facilitating the cooperation between companies, research institutions, politics, and society in order to create jobs and to develop sustainable and environmentally friendly technologies. Mrs. Matikina and Mr. Kurt from NMWP Global Business just told you why North Rhine-Westphalia is such a great state to do business in. And I fully agree with them and can only recommend doing so. But I would like to give you a little insight into why NMWP is so important for the aerospace industry. So let's start with some examples of space technology made in NMWP. I have 3 examples and I would like to give you some details about it. First example is number 1. It's the combustion chamber of which helps to send the Ariane rocket to space, and it was forged in NMWP by the company Otto Fuchs. And other parts of the rocket are made here too. The second example you can see is about the Mars rover Perseverance, because parts of this Mars rover were made here in NMWP too. To be more precise, the bearings for the actuators and the mechanisms were developed by the NMWP company Schroeder, which also located here in our federal state. Number 3 is about the Merlin satellite. The Merlin satellite used a LiDAR system for methane detection, which was developed by the Fraunhofer Institute for Laser Technology in Aachen, which, as you can probably guess, is located also in NMWP. So on the next slide, I would like to give you some examples after we talked about space, about aviation. So here too, NMWP is an important player. Let's start with the left picture. It's about the company Hegemann, which is also located in NMWP, located in Büren, nearby Paderborn. And among other things, they supply the landing gear and the wings for the D328 and the upcoming D328 Echo. The next one, what should definitely be mentioned here is the Ferdinand Stückerjürgen Group. They manufacture high quality components and devices made of fiber reinforced plastics and thermoplastics, which can be found in many cockpits and the structure of aircrafts and also the cabin interior. But when it comes to new mobility, in this case, unmanned aircrafts, UAVs, you all know it, NRW is also a leading state. One example is Streak Air, who already have UAVs flying. All the examples are just that. They are only examples. There are so many more, but there's not just enough time to list them all, but to give you a small impression about what we are doing here and our companies are doing here in NRW. As you can see, the potential is there, and that is also what the Ministry of Economic Affairs in NRW saw when it decided to initiate our network, Aerospace NRW. Almost exactly 1 year ago, we started in March 2021 and had the anniversary some days ago. But what do we do in our network? We connect people from private enterprises, universities, and government to find the best possible ways to enhance the industry in NRW. We are open to anyone who's interested in aerospace and will help wherever we can. We have an advisory board made up by leading experts from the industry and academia to help us define our strategies and goals. And on the next slide, I would like to go a little bit more into detail about our work. So we have these 6 main areas defined of our activities. First area is we have joint projects and technology transfer. We work closely with other industries which support the aerospace industry through and up or downstream processes, products or services. And its aim is to use synergy effects and support the overall strategy. Second part is international location marketing. We want to promote NRW as the location to be for the aerospace industry, to show off all its potential and all its abilities when doing business with companies located here. The third pillar is training and development. We don't have our own training platform yet, but support companies and institutions when they want to educate their staff by helping them define needs, and as a broker when they are looking for suitable programs. Next one is about business settlement. It's about growing the economy and creating new jobs that can not only be achieved by expanding existing business, but also by convincing companies to open an office or production in NRW, or even make it their headquarters. We consider it our job to help to see them the benefits of doing so and helping them with the red tape which comes with it. We focus on companies which add value to the supply chain and support sustainable aviation. However, we are open to all business from the aerospace industry. Next point is about startup support. Startups tend to be more flexible when it comes to reacting to new market and technology developments. However, they lack the experience and how to overcome obstacles, such as, for example, approval procedures, go-to-market strategies, or also funding. We support them with our know-how, and perhaps even more important, put them in touch with the right people. Last but not least, we have the area of strategic development for NRW, and we meant to make sure that all of our endeavors are sustainable and meet our objectives and goals. We therefore constantly review and evaluate our efforts to ensure we can react to new developments. So how do we achieve this? We have these 4 categories or pillars, what we do. On the one hand side, first of all, it's about networking. So we are a network. So what we want to make sure that our members have the possibility to meet each other and to have exchange ideas. And we do it through various things like webinars. We do it with work groups. We have so-called theme nights. We have close contact with other networks and associations. We have online and offline presence, and also fairs and exhibitions. Then there's about all this stuff with information. That means internal, external communication, location marketing, startup support, business settlement, and also joint projects and technology transfer. The third pillar is about projects and infrastructure. It's about the support for grant applications. It's an expert network for non-technical issues. We have established test and certification centers and support and expand also and transform pilot projects. And last but not least, there's strategy, and to be successful, you need a plan. And with the help of our advisory board, we define our goals and key issues and decide how we want to tackle them. We make sure that we do not create standalone solutions, but integrate our activities into existing projects and plans. And to benefit from synergy effects, we find links and things we have in common with national and international key issues. On the next slide, you can see some examples of what we have done so far. We have made several events. So we had a first in-person event last September in Aachen, and we will also regularly offer webinars and events on various important and interesting topics like this one. We support the situation of the strategy and the development plan for an airfield in NRW, which is now set to become a dedicated research airfield, which will allow the testing of new technologies close to where they are developed. We have developed marketing materials, brochures, flyers to promote the network. We just published our first magazine. It's actually in German only. It was published last week. And of course, we have also a website where you can also find all the information. So let me conclude. If you're interested in aerospace in North Rhine-Westphalia, please let us know. We are your first contact point regarding to aerospace in NRW, and we can support you with our networking activities if you are looking for partnerships, for example. And we can also support whatever else you can think of, if it has to do something with aerospace and if it has to do something with NRW. So that's all from my side right now. I'll answer any questions if you may have after the next presentation. So thank you for your time and your patience. And now I'll pass back to Jan-Frederik Kuhle to introduce our next speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Harald Krämer, and I will take on. Now enough from the German perspective. It is now time for our special guest. I'm delighted to introduce you, Mr. Mohammed Al-Falazi. As said in the beginning, he is the director of Aerospace of the Mohammed bin Rashid Aerospace Hub, Dubai South. In his role, he is responsible for identifying potential opportunities, driving profitability and sustainable growth in line with business needs. So less from my side, more from your side. You can now share your screen and your presentation.
Thank you for the introduction, gentlemen, and we are pleased to have the collaboration here with the German associations. We believe our aerospace hub is incomplete with the German capabilities. We pay attention to that region. We pay attention to your region. We would love to have those expansion services to capture the opportunities in general here and the local opportunities as well as the regional ones due to the opportunities available here. And now allow me to share my presentation so you can have an overview of the market as well as the Mohammed bin Rashid Aerospace Hub. Is this visible to you guys? Is it clear to you?
Yeah.
Not in the presentation mode, but
I'm trying to.
I need to unmute first before I speak. So have you, do you share your screen or do you share the presentation? Now it's coming up. Now you have to, at display
clear?
setting.
Yes.
Display settings, switch the, in the upper corner, upper left corner.
It's, with me, it is on the presentation mode.
Yep, but we see your notes.
The notes? Okay.
Yeah, we see your notes. So you're at the display setting. You need to switch the screens.
Just give me a...
Mr. Mohammed, do you have a second screen?
No, it's
now
clear
it is
now.
set.
Now it's great.
It's great.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah. Now I think I'm correct. So looking at the MEASA region, I mean, there is a huge potential, of course, looking at this region. It has $12 trillion of GDP. It has 45% of the oil reserve, 28% of the gas reserve. And most importantly, 50% of this nation is under 25 years old, where the youth would carry out the opportunities in the future. There is a challenge today in Europe, and there is a challenge in Asia of the shortage of youth, and that we all understand. Speaking of Dubai, it's a strike a really great location. We used to promote Dubai as the gateway between the East and the West, but today with the great backbone of the business, which is infrastructure, soft and hard, it is easy to define Dubai as a regional destination to conduct business, where the connectivity plays an important role to reach out these markets. Within 7-hour radius, you reach 2/3 of the world's population. Within 3 hours radius, you reach 1/3 of the world's population. The connectivity we aim here, and we strategically aim as a Dubai government to enrich those markets and those outreach to those customers. Speaking of our leaders, we have a mandate from His Highness that we are not building the largest airport in the world, but we are building the aviation capital of the world. Speaking of our capacity, in terms of capacity, our project is a mega government project. It focuses on the aviation market. Yes, we claim it's going to be the biggest airport in the world, but this is due to the growth that we have. But this statement here shows you that we are shifting our minds from the quantity to the quality. And that's where the aviation capital would be really requiring all of you guys, your expertise to be expanded to this region. The GDP in Dubai, 28% comes from aviation and 14% from logistics, and that's very important. Despite all the great growth that we had recently in terms of trade, logistics, and other opportunities that would really flourish the market, speaking of which now we have the Expo 2020 having very good impact on the business transactions and the GDP that would impact in the coming 5 years, expected to be around a growth of 2.3% in the coming 5 years. Al Maktoum International, we promote it now as a new gateway to conduct the business with good capacity in terms of cargo and passenger. When it comes to the recent development that we have already in Dubai, in DXP, the maximum capacity will be 90 million passengers. And there is a limitation, of course, in terms of expansion. There is a limitation, of course, in terms of connectivity and cargo operation. Despite the Al Maktoum International has a very good potential with good capacity in terms of cargo, passenger, and we are in expansion now from the 27 million passengers. And in parallel, we're having now 2 runways, 2 concourses, 1 terminal designed for 130 million passengers. That will be in operation by 2035. And that's where the big move of Emirates will happen from DXP to Al Maktoum International. There is a good operational percentage now already ongoing with the cargo, where again, our project here strikes a very good location globally, as well as within the map of UAE. We are 45 minutes away from DXP as Al Maktoum International, and 45 minutes similar time away from Abu Dhabi International Airports. Even within the rest of the UAE is within 50 to 70 minutes, you can reach the other Emirates that forms UAE. The connectivity here, sea, land, air, and rail is coming within 2 years, is very important. Our platform is a unique platform, not only to conduct aviation businesses, but also for the supply chain and the logistics operation as a multimodal logistic platform. People will live, work, and conduct business from the same area. We expect 500,000 people living, 500 jobs to be created. Dubai South is a mega project, 145 square kilometers, consists of 8 mega districts defined as the airport, 5 runways, 4 concourses, 2 terminals designed for 260 million passengers. Currently, as I said, we have the first runway 4.5 kilometers with the 27 million passengers operational. Parallel to this, we have 2 runways, 2 concourses, 1 terminal for 130 million passengers. That's under development right now. Within the logistics district, anything to do with the short shelf life, time-sensitive products will be placed in here. Things like perishables, electronics, and pharmaceutical. E-commerce now is taking the era, of course, where anything to do with the short shelf life, time-sensitive product businesses, we host in here. If they use other mode of transportation, we advise them to go to the other side of the project, which is the JAFZA, which is the port free zone. The objective here to host the supply chain companies and their operator within the same area, and that's what unique about our project, that made an important solutions to all different sectors. Speaking of Emirates Sky Cargo is fully operational since 7 years. The NATA is dominating, of course, the cargo operation here. However, we have integrators moving from DXP to Dubai South or Dubai World Central. Within a year and a half from now, we will have FedEx in operation, as well as DHL will follow with UPS. So the third core element here is the aerospace hub, in which what we represent in here. For so many people, aviation is transporting goods and passenger, but there is a great ecosystem, and that requires a platform to host that support the whole industry, and we are all from that sector, and we understand that. So the other elements, we have the Expo 2020 venue in the right-hand side corner. We have Humanitarian District, small one, and we have 3 major real estate cities, residential, commercial, and golf. That's already been developed, and more than 6,000 units already been delivered and as livable cities. Why we're jumping into real estate? Yes, it's a revenue stream business, but it is basically an optional solutions for our companies, that because we are one authority to give you the setup requirement, license and visas, dedicated solutions, and when it comes to the real estate is optional to sustain the long-term relationship and growth. And being a landlord next to you is important, because these markets are very sensitive markets that would impact any fluctuation in prices in the future, of course. All these districts, as I said, define Dubai South. So when it comes to the logistic district, it plays an important role, that our logistic district with the multimodal logistic platform, sea, land, rail, sea, land, air, and rail is coming within a year and a half now. That's already built and under trial stages now, to have the full UAE connected together in a rail system that would allow us to have good movements of cargo and hopefully passenger very soon. And it will have also connectivity with the GCC countries as an optional when they would have their expansion there, and the other countries and within GCC. We used to do this process now, seamless movement between sea and air within a day plus. Now we do it within 4 hours, and that's very challenging in terms of connectivity, and important to save time and money, of course. The perishables, fashion, lifestyle, IT, e-commerce, anything to do with the social life are there in terms of solutions. Yes, it's 100% ownership you can have within our free zone. There is no profit share. There is good connectivity to support your landside, airside solutions for your requirements, and a great solution. And we always look at your requirement for the current requirements and the future requirements. We can accommodate any kind of businesses with a specialized product, from small to big, to land lease, to ready-made facilities, even to build-to-suit solution. We take a requirement, we build it and lease it back to you for mega customers that we have built. There's a great mix of different type of customers that are available with us. This is not all of them, guys, but this is kind of a bit from each garden, let's say, and different customers. The top 25 3PLs, freight forwarder companies, and supply chains are already based in Dubai South. There is a great number of companies. In total, we are more than 8,000 companies firming Dubai South. Now we speak more about Mohammed bin Rashid Aerospace Hub. It is identity been given to this area. We still Dubai South, we still, I mean, the same authority, but it's only identity being given to the 7 square kilometers, as you see in here. It's fully integrated system, I mean, platform where it has all landside, airside solutions. Speaking of the airside, we got the passenger terminal of 27 million passenger. Next to it, there are solutions of hangars, code F for the wide body, code C for the narrow body. We do have even the air show facility, which is the exhibition area. I'm sure most of you've been to the air show and you have seen it last year, how it was very successful. It became the biggest event of aviation recently, and hopefully we would remain on that position. Our VIP terminal is already located there. All the FBO operators are already located there with great number of operation. We will come and jump into details in the other slides. When it comes to the light industrial zone, helicopter zone, it's very specialized zone to host within the helicopter for education training, as well as VIP operation and the MRO activities to be lined within one platform. There is no such activity or platform that would host all these businesses. The education cluster is very key. We have the Emirates Flying School. There is another runway of 1.8 kilometers already in operation with airside, landside facilities. As a key customer within our education and R&D, there are hotels leading to the passenger terminal. And in the heart of the project, there is an aerospace supply chain zone, which is a landside solution approximate to the airside. It would allow to minimize the capex for any customers that requires to be within landside, like MRO activities, aero logistics, manufacturing, assembly, and other activities such as even training to be within that sector. There is a vision to be a leading aerospace hub. It's very challenging, but we believe with the availability of all these backbone of the business infrastructure that we have in terms of I mean, solution that we provide and the strategy that we have put in place through all these 4 verticals. Number 1 is the MRO. When it comes to any activity related to the MRO, helicopters, supply chain, business jet MRO, airline, paint, completion, all to be lined within one vertical. And we have very specialized product for it, as well as different financial models that suits each activity. So that's how we target it as one vertical, and it's an important. And the second important one is the general aviation. What we have made here is different application. We have built a VIP terminal where we maintain the privacy, the efficiency, the turnover of, for example, fueling, catering, specialized only for the VIPs, with value-added services, of course, from helicopter shuttle services, as well as MRO requirements and services that are already within the same area. Today, we are operational since 2016, and today we became the busiest regional VIP terminal in the region with 15,000 movements last year. This is around 1,200 movements every month, and that's only for the VIPs. And an example of how we are different from DXP, we have around now 92% of the operation of the VIPs already in Dubai South. The fuel farm used to be within 3 hours. Now we do it within 20 minutes. So the response time is really great. Education training, why we are jumping into education training? There will be shortage of pilots, technician, cabin crew training. Therefore, we already have the Emirates Flying School as for the pilots, universities, University South of Wales, but they have decided now to go back to their station in UK. Cabin crew training, we have today a showcase of Mr. Mark would really show you the experience and the services that they provide within their education and the opportunities available for them in this region. Engineering and technical studies, flight simulator is very important as well, to have all these solutions lined in one area. Education is very important, but the upskilling is always important for all aviation markets and customers. especially for the reoccurring, courses that they have to take. Other revenue stream businesses from commercial activities that we have from retail, hotels, offices, even when it comes to museum and exhibition area, that would really impact our revenue stream business as an aviation hub. As I said, the business aviation, we have really shifted the experience of our VIPs. We have really shifted movements and great number of FBO operators. There are 5 FBO operators in DXP and Dubai South that play an important role in delivering the high standard of services that we aim here in Dubai. One of the German customers is DC Aviation, which is partnering up with Al Futtaim in Dubai. We have now, this was only for 6 months, but today we are having 15,000 movements in 2022 in terms of operation. And we have also built a helicopter zone dedicated for education training as well as VIP operation. They are in phase 1 now in terms of operation and facility. They are into process to submit their hangar requirements and as well as the office space. The vault is the concept of the free port. Is applicable in Singapore and in Asia and Europe. And today here in Dubai South, we have this development, under development basically facility to be operational within 2 years. Great facilities that already came as well, and in which I explained to you that all the solution required to be airside, landside is already built in there. The opportunity itself here, we all know that the global market is turning 35,500 aircrafts to be delivered in the coming 10 years. Yes, it's been impacted by the COVID. All the studies shows around 28,500 aircrafts will be delivered in the coming 10 years. This shows you the importance of our region, where you can easily determine your opportunity related to education, related to the MRO market, which is a very good promising market, and of course other sectors that are associated with. If you look only about at the GCC, the MRO spend is $11 billion of MRO spend, and 70% is only within UAE because of our national carriers: Emirates, Fly Dubai, Etihad, Air Arabia Sharjah, Air Arabia Abu Dhabi, and WizJet. The aerospace supply chain is a landside solution. We have built phase 1 and phase 2. Another German example here is Lufthansa Technique. We have started with Lufthansa Technique since they were a line maintenance, and then Dubai office, and then they became Lufthansa Technique Middle East Regional Center. We have GE as an example as well, as their first direct investment in the Middle East is with Dubai South. And we are looking now for an expansion opportunity with them as well. So this is where phase 2 been already delivered, and it can be used for multi-purpose, as I said, education, MRO, assembly, aero logistics, and so on. Anything to do with the airside activity. Simple elements made really big difference, from MEP, floor load, height, whatsoever, that can be shared even for any interested parties at later stage. Even to come with a unique solution here. We have a very unique solution that is very rarely to find globally. It's a vertical workshops, and it can be for multi-purpose as showcase office, aero logistics, small requirements of MROs and aftermarket repair and assembly. Sometimes it can be. It has a common loading bay, a vertical flooring from 7-meter height, 5 meter or 4 meters, that gives an option of 94 square meter of unit to be a very good, affordable for any market entry, startup businesses, and those who don't require really a big space. This is under development. It will finish by August this year, and it will be delivered to them on September. So this is a very good entry to the market. It's very affordable. We always tend to fix our rates for 5 years with good incentives of licensing and visa as well. When I say affordable, an example of what I mean is around yearly rent is around 17,000 euro with a license, and that's fixed for 5 years every year. So this is how we try to build the economy. We would encourage the people to expand, test the water out of their comfort zone, and have an affordable solutions with Dubai South. This is what I meant by the height differences between each units and different sizes, of course, we can provide. As line maintenance units already been built and delivered with great number of companies like Bombardier Complex Jet Flight Services as a new entry to the market. We have developed with Complex really good expansion phase in which they are now in the process to build their own hangar. They are really having a good full-fledged of MRO capabilities to this region for their BBJs and 220 Airbus 220 aircraft to be maintained in our region here. The education now is what most of the guys now will talk about. Education is we have the Emirates Flying School dedicated for 600 cadets. It would have its good airside landside facility, their own runway. They do have even simulator center for base basically. As I said, the market here, it would have shortage in pilots, shortage in technician, and cabin crew training. Therefore, we rank Dubai today as the #1 destination to attract highly skilled labor. But in the long term, in the long run, we would have issues. To sustain these issues, we are now a step of everyone to have an infrastructure for education and training. And that's what we aim in Dubai South or within Mohammed bin Rashid Aerospace Hub. I'll keep the floor for Mark later to speak about dynamic advanced training, but we have developed with Mark long time back the concept of the advanced training, which is the aviation safety and emergency security training, that they have honestly a state-of-art facilities even, and we are proud to say that within Mohammed bin Rashid Aerospace Hub. When it comes to the simulator, it's important market, expected to have a market of 5.6 billion US market. The recent incidents of 787 showed us the importance of these simulators availability in this region is very important due to the number of type of aircrafts that we have in this region. The type rating required is important to have those elements. Of course, from our other revenue stream businesses, from office and retails, already been availability of those solutions are huge in this market. There is a good number of mix of customers already in place with Mohammed bin Rashid Aerospace Hub, but yet we are going to announce very key players coming to this region, in which recently last two weeks we signed with great number of cabin customers, aero logistics. We signed with assembly and drone manufacturing. They're all been lined to be part of Dubai South. Now we are increasing the good ecosystem that we're trying to create within Mohammed bin Rashid Aerospace Hub. We are one-stop shop to provide you with a setup, dedicated solutions, as well as the connectivity to and real estate to capture your opportunities in this market. Opportunities, I'm talking about local and regional. It's not only about Dubai and the UAE, it's about the region. You need a platform to serve the region in a very good, efficient way. We are not part, DWC is not a part from DXP. There is a bonded tracking system between the two airports. Every half an hour, there's a truck between the two airports. So within the multimodal logistic platform, you have sea, land, air, and rail, it will be even connected with the mega hub of DXP with DWC as another hub here. Great number of companies, as I said, with us, and we are, let's say, hungry wolves to host more partners within our area. I hope that I have managed to give you the good insight about the market, the opportunities available within this market, the infrastructure, and the objective behind Dubai South, as well as Mohammed bin Rashid Aerospace Solutions, and opportunities available here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed Al-Falazi. And now coming to the questions of the audience, our Q&A session. I will share my screen to get into the right mood. Now it is. If anyone has any question, you can raise digitally your hand or write it into the chat. For an icebreaker, I would start directly with a question to Mohammed Al-Falazi. I have two questions. The first thing you talked about the ecosystem you're creating and the opportunities you want to combine in one area. How can players, for example, from North Rhine-Westphalia or in Germany become a part of it? I'm thinking about the educational sites or SMEs.
Sure. When it comes to SMEs, it's a very important sector to us even here. Our GDP is not built upon the mega, tier 1, tier 2 customers, but also the SMEs are important. The startup businesses are very important. I'll give you an example here. I have participated in many events and I have seen startup individuals that they have brilliant ideas related to drones, but they have no one has the hat and the accountability to host them in any area. When I say host them, they would need license, facility, education, engineering, whatsoever. All these experts that required from the aviation market to be aligned in one platform to give them the support, the required support. So from that matters, we have really designed the supplier complex to be with an incubator center. And that's something I haven't shared in the presentation, but I'm telling you, we do have an idea to have an incubator. And most of our customers offer their support, terms financially support, as well as whatever expertise they would require to support those startup businesses. So that's related to the startup businesses. When it comes to the small and medium solution, even we have specialized incentives, specialized products to host them here. When it comes to the ecosystem we create, it's not easy even to bring everything together within one platform, but we are yet now, let's say, 5 years in operation, and we have developed our area as 45% in terms of growth. And we would really see a very good shift in the coming 2 years. When I say that, for example, related to the MRO, we do have the SO with us. They're going to be in operation by mid of this year. We do have Falcon, which is they do have Embraer, MRO. We do have Jet Aviation, which is Gulfstream aircrafts. We do have Comlex, which is the BBJs and Airbus aircrafts to be maintained. And we are in the process and discussion with our customer Bombardier to have their expansion hangar within our airfield. So imagine there will be no airfield that would really have all this, the required solutions in terms of MRO for the general aviation market. And that will be a very unique platform. So that's related to the air side. Obviously, on the land side, there will be so much activities and opportunities related to training, education, supply chain, and other business to be hosted within the same area. Mm-hmm. Sorry, the second question is?
I would like to know if or how the procedure would be when one of our players or one other player from North Rhine-Westphalia wants to contribute to such an ecosystem.
Sure. We understand. Coming to this market, we don't want them to be like blind. We would be their advocates. We would be their eyes in this area. We're trying here to simplify ourselves as much as possible to be clear as much as possible, fix our rates for long term, clear commitments from day one. So when it comes to how and what, we have made really for example, the space industry, I mean, special incentives, and we can share the same incentives to your clients, specialized only for your members within the NRW to be to have the privilege of those incentives. And when I say incentives, is different than the government incentive. It's just a really good reduction in terms of license setup, a great flat reduced rate for lease, and fixed for long term. There is no hidden terms that we already have within our contracts. We can structure something really attractive, affordable for all type of segments that you have within your members.
Thank
and
you very much.
Shamma, my colleague, is already participating in this, I mean, email. We would really design something for you guys, especially, and it can be shared to you guys.
Okay, thank you for that. One question out of the chat. You have shown the VIP terminals. Are they already equipped also for air taxi services?
I'm sorry, equipped for what?
For the air taxi services, such as Volocopter or Lidium or
yes, we
other
have
air taxi companies.
So the VIP terminal is basically for the FBOs, the fixed base operators, to handle their VIPs and charter aircrafts. However, next to the VIP terminal, in which I showed in the maybe in the map, it wasn't clear, we have the helicopter zone or helicopter cluster. We call it Dubai helipad. It's basically all activities related to VIP operation, all activities to be related to MRO, education and training, as well as a showcase of helicopters as showrooms will be displayed there. We are developing a market. We are 2 steps ahead, honestly, in this region. There is no such infrastructure available in this region. And we're trying to do that. It's now it's only 3 months of operation of our partner or our customer within that sector. And we are now in phase 2 of development. It would have really good market to host those activities. I'll give you a piece of opportunity in this region. There will be 2,000 helicopters additional to this market in the coming 10 years. So that's lots of good opportunities in terms of helicopter. So when it comes to all OEMs are going to be really maintained and operational within this region.
Perfect. I get another question. Is the Mohammed bin Rashid Airport planning to be a global leading hub also for cargo? And does it sees itself as a rival or friend to other aviation hubs in the MRO region?
Yes, within the Mohammed bin Rashid Aerospace Hub, we focus on MROs, general aviation activities, education and training, and other aviation businesses. When you say cargo, yes, we are not apart from the platform. We wear the hat of basically here Dubai South. It has a core elements of logistics, aviation, and real estates. So when it comes to the logistics, we have a very good, the logistics basically is 11 years of operation here. We are contributing around 3.2 million of cargo, ton of cargo every year. The ultimate plan is to have 19 million ton of cargo within our area. And that's only for air, operation or air cargo, because the beauty of our platform here would really reflect anything related to the short shelf life and time sensitivity would reflect the cargo operation and the movements, as well as the movement within our, of course, runway. So that's the ecosystem we create. All our solutions go towards having an efficient response time, great operation with our stakeholders. It's not about the platform. It's not about the facility that fancy facility we provide. It's all about the operation. The fort is on the ground. We all and understand that it's important to have a very good understanding, let's say, stakeholders like customs and police. Today, Dubai turning itself from classic government to e-government to smart government to make things easier and cut the red tape. We do have a platform called Dubai Trade, which is a portal that allows you to do the operation ahead of and list documentation for, of course, the cargo movements. Whether you are doing a transit operations, whether you are distributing to the local market, or you are 3PL or freight forwarder companies that are already based in Dubai South.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. So I think no other questions. So I would like then to continue with our second part. As Mr. Mohammed Al-Falazi already teased on, there are also a lot of business opportunities in the educational business. And I would now then start with the UAE region. So with Mr. Mark Kammer, he is the co-founder and Dynamic Advanced Training and Operations Director. He is responsible for its day-to-day operation. He drives the company's training philosophy, which is hands-on titled reality-based training by putting the trainees' effective learning journey at the center of the company's focus. So with these words, I would give the stage to you, Mr. Mark Kammer, and to also share your presentation if you have one.
I will share the presentation in a second. Good afternoon, guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren, liebe Grüße nach North Rhine-Westphalia. Now to continue in English. My name is Mark. I'm the Operations Director of Dynamic Advanced Training. Before starting to give you an understanding of what we mean by reality-based training, I'm sitting in one of our simulators now, and I shall unfreeze it. It's full motion. We are just going into a crash scenario, and I'll have to reduce the volume for people. And I'll turn the sounds off now. I'm not sure if that can even be heard on Zoom. I will now start with my presentation, and I shall share my screen and hope that it works. So that was just a quick insight into what we call reality-based training. So, Dynamic Advanced Training. We are located at the Mohammed bin Rashid Aerospace Hub. We are the only cabin crew training organization that is independent and approved in the United Arab Emirates, launching in July 2020, which is arguably the worst possible time ever during the middle of the pandemic. We have a vision, and our vision is to create cabin safety training for aircrew at the highest possible standard. Being independent means that we are not restricted by, let's say, legacy airlines requirements. We cater to all of our customers' needs. Yes, as I said, our devices you may see in the picture in the background, full motion simulators, and I'll just elaborate on them very briefly. So they allow the highest possible form of fidelity, and it makes a difference in the training. The training outcome is much better. It changes the way it changes the way training can be done. So as a one-stop shop, we concentrate on our customers' needs. we have on the commercial side, we cover all the narrow bodies, which are the A320 family, so A318, 19, 20, 21, and 737. On the wide body side, we cover even the old A310, A330, A340, A350. We cover 777, and we cover 787 as well. Our niche market is the business jet operations. We are conveniently located, aside from the UAE's geographical location, but the Mohammed bin Rashid Aerospace hub is home to a lot of business jet operations with all the players utilizing the facilities. It's convenient. And so our full flight business jet cabin simulator covers Gulfstream, all the Gulfstream types, Globals, the Challengers, Falcon, and also Legacy. This means that as a one-stop shop, we utilize our real firefighting trainer. The real firefighting trainer can generate LPG flames and smoke in the galley, lithium-ion battery fires, which have advanced to become one of the largest problems. Just recently, a couple of days ago, a flight in China was diverted due to a suspected fire in the cargo hold, and probably due to a lithium-ion battery fire in a suitcase, yet to be determined. In-flight entertainment system fires, overhead bin fires, lavatory bin fires, and also B-class fires. Reality-based also means that our water survival pool is not just a flat body of water. The objective of a ditching exercise is not to find out that water is wet. That's common knowledge. The idea is to find out that real-life situations can be a lot trickier than text in a training manual. The hands-on approach, when we add the environmental effects such as waves or rain or fog or wind or lightning and sound effects, it's an entirely different experience. We also have what we call the jungle and the polar survival rooms. So these are typically PowerPoint presentations in any training center in the world. What we like to do is let our trainees experience actual situations, and it's easier for them to put stuff into context. Why is aviation full of don't? And there's reasons for it. Why are we doing something? Because regulations refer to how something is, what has to be done, and not always necessarily how. This is the polar survival room, the jungle, I beg your pardon. We also have a hypoxia simulator. So hypoxia is the lack of oxygen at altitude, essentially. The physiological functions of the body don't work as well. The cognitive behavior of the brain is impeded. But it's something that, again, is a PowerPoint presentation. If you've been to the military or to the Air Force, chances are, as a fighter pilot, you will have been put inside a hyperbaric chamber, and you will have experienced this. That's an extreme form. But our idea is to generate awareness. So we have a normal barrack setup where we change the composition of the air that you're breathing to simulate altitude. And it's very interesting because hypoxia comes in many shapes and forms, and everybody reacts to it individually. So every person, every individual has a hypoxia signature. So doing that from a presentation and explaining it to somebody is very difficult because your own signs and symptoms may be completely different to what is being taught. We have an EVAS simulator. An EVAS is an emergency vision assurance system. Essentially, cargo planes and a lot of the business jets OEMs now install these very simple devices already. If you have a fire, there was an accident in the UAE in 2011 where a cargo plane, due to lithium-ion battery fires, unfortunately crashed, and the reason that they actually crashed was not because they couldn't aviate, because they couldn't navigate the aircraft. It was because the pilots couldn't actually see their instruments, couldn't see out of the window. And so we can teach pilots how to use these devices so that in an actual emergency situation, they don't have to think. It comes naturally. And of course, we have a very nice cafeteria to go along with it. If you come here for training, why not enjoy a nice burger or a vegetarian pasta or a salad to go along with it. So what are the issues that we see with SEP training, safety and emergency procedure training today? And it doesn't matter really where we look around the world. It's very heavily theoretically based. And the practical components of it are at 30% at best. Now, this doesn't suit all the different learning behaviors. A lot of people learn, especially by making mistakes. So we have a complete different approach to it. Then again, also legacy training centers focus on their own type of equipment, on their own type rating, on their own type of aircraft. So they don't have the wide variety of aircraft specific training devices that Dynamic offers. The training coming from a legacy airline, the marketing material may suggest that it's customized towards the actual customer's requirements, but in reality, that seldomly happens. Touching on the business jet side of it, the next closest facility for business jet training at a level that we're offering is possibly in Savannah in the USA. So the big problem, and these are not my words. These are the words coming from our customers. They've called the conventional type of training uninspired, repetitive, and boring. So death by PowerPoint, because it's predominantly classroom based. The other issue is that we see is that the regulations only call for training to be done in certain intervals. So the aircrew are not subjected to actual training conditions necessarily all that often. This differs from one regulator to another, but for example, the wet ditching is done once in a lifetime in for some authorities, and then if it's done in a water body which is flat like a pool, then the learning outcome can at least be questioned. So all of that of today's conventional training, unfortunately, although it's done around the globe, leads to an ineffective transfer ratio of knowledge and skills to the actual line, because of the high percentage of theoretical training, and then this is what all of our customers complain to us about once they've been here. They just say it wasn't worth their while. Yes, it was a regulatory requirement, but it was ticking a box, and they don't use it as an opportunity to actually enhance their skills and knowledge, and that's actually quite sad. So what have we done? Just to touch on that. So we've minimized classroom time. We focus on hands-on scenarios and practical training in realistic scenarios. Which means also the proper application of CRM skills in an actual environment. So instead of, let's say, I would maybe suggest that it's awkward role play in a classroom. Why not do it actually on a simulator in an actual scenario, be it a regular normal scenario or an actual emergency? Because it's quite eye-opening once you actually do it in a real environment. So that's looking at the technical side using our equipment, but it's a whole holistic approach to it. It's not just the technical side of it. Our simulators are not cheap. I'm and I can say that I designed, fabricated, and built the facility. I operated as the operations director. But you also have to look equally at the training professionals themselves. Who are your instructors? How do they utilize the equipment? How do they engage with the trainees? How do they actually rate and judge the trainees' performance? It's not just a computer-based training at the end of the day where you answer 20 questions and you have to have a pass rate of 80%. Yes, that's one part of it, but that's not everything. The other part, how we see it, is we do it in a non-punitive environment, and we focus on building up the skills. So some trainees may be stronger than others, and those that are maybe weaker aren't necessarily bad. So you say to them, look, congratulations on achieving 60%, and now together we're going to work on the 40%. So we don't have anything called remedial training. We actually do it then and there. It's an entirely different approach to what has been done around the world at legacy training centers. But it's very interesting because you have different nationalities, you have different cultures. Many of them are ashamed of losing face. But if you do it in the correct environment and you positively reinforce what they're doing, you actually achieve remarkable outcomes. As I said, learning by doing environment, you repeat scenarios. Somebody does something, doesn't do it quite right, let's do it again. It's not a problem. It's our own training center. We're independent. We have the luxury of being able to do it. It's a more bespoke experience. And as I touched on initially, we use training devices that haven't really existed around the world. We use survival rooms in practical. So we have the Hypoxia Simulator. We use the EVAS. We have a sea survival pool. We have the real firefighting trainer. Yes, other schools have real firefighting trainers. Ours happens to be one of the most advanced. And we use a business jet simulator. So on the business jet side, how has it happened in the past? Well, you'd go to a training center owned by an airline, and then you would be, let's say, flying a Challenger 604 or 605, and you'd be together in a classroom with air crew who are training on a 777 device. So or an A380, and in an A380 and a 605. They use the same laws of physics apply, but it's an entirely different operating environment. And this is maybe one of the most important parts of it is we entertain while we train. Yeah, why not make it fun? If you make it fun, you make it memorable. If you make it memorable and you teach people why you're doing something, so that they can understand, so that they can form a model in their head, then it's only a very short step to show them how to do something, because they understand the reasons behind the training requirements. Make it fun. It's very, very important. Now that's the training size of it. So what is going to happen in the future? So all the airlines around the globe, it's never happened before, but COVID forced everybody onto the ground. So airlines had no choice but to right-size their operations, and this means just roughly, and it depends where from the geographical location, but just roughly, let's say a third of the airlines personnel have left the airlines. These people will need to be retrained, or not these ones, but people will be needed to be retrained. So a third of aviation's workforce in 2019 will be coming back, but they will need to be retrained. That's a huge tsunami of training ahead of us. The IATA, we already notice it here at Dynamic. But IATA predicts that by 2024, so not actually that far away from now, we'll be reaching levels of 2019. And the predicted growth of aviation is roughly, give or take, 5% year on year. So every 20 years, roughly, aviation will double. And we see numerous operators, not just locally, but predominantly locally, on a rehiring spree to meet the demands in the years ahead. And this is going to be a massive challenge for them, how to find the right people from the various markets. It's a daunting task. And then last but not least, the training facilities themselves are going to face shortages. So we already see it on the pilot training side. Although Dynamic doesn't train pilots in flight skills, we don't have a full flight simulator yet. But there's a capacity crunch. So with everybody flooding back into the market, there are going to be problems in finding the capacity of where to train. Plus, all the trainers have also left as well. And this isn't just for cabin crew. This is also for the entire ecosystem. So we're talking air traffic control. We're talking ground handling services. We're talking well, pilots, cabin crew. That everybody will need to be trained. So travel demand, as we see it, will come back, and the scaling up to meet the demand is going to result in initially quite high costs. So airlines will have to become agile. They'll have to rethink their operations. Or we believe they'll have to rethink the way that they've done it in the past. They will focus on how to continuously reduce costs, and they will look on ways to avoid cash burn and to keep the liquidity so that they can use that for other pressing topics. They've been bailed out by governments. They've received private equity. That will all need to be paid back at some point. And then one of the ways that we see reality-based training working is the reduced amount of training time required. Because we don't go into a classroom and then first do theoretical training and then go onto a simulator and then do the theoretical part, the practical part, we combine both at the same time, and it works extremely well. People actually understand a lot faster what the requirements are, and the learning outcomes are definitely. I don't have third-party scientific evaluation of this, but from our own evaluation, we've trained about 1,200 people since 2020, and from their feedback, we see that our philosophy definitely works. And so, if you take away the requirement from airlines to concentrate on their training, they'll be able to concentrate on other core businesses. Let's say one of the parts that could be is in-flight service. How do you differentiate yourself from your competitors? Maybe not necessarily for low-cost airlines, but definitely for the full-fat carriers. So yeah, outsourcing of support functions where viable. It has been done in the past. One of the most important parts is for airlines to be able to control the quality, and to be able to and for the training providers to be able to adapt to the requirements quickly. I conclude my speech with that at the moment. If you do have any further problems or questions, I beg your pardon, please feel free to reach out to me at any time, in English or in German. It doesn't matter. Yes, thank you very much for listening, and I'll stop the share.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kama. As you talked about the tick the box training, it came into my mind before I was a project manager. I was an airline pilot with Ryanair, and I just wanted to say, yeah, it's a complete different story to see how people get trained. Because, for example, as I worked for Ryanair, they get their crews from CrewLink, and they do all the training with CBTs. So all computer-based training, and when they start with their first day, we as pilots show them how to use the door. properly. And yeah, that's one. This is why I support your idea of doing a real business or real training.
I'm not shocked by what you say because I obviously know this. And when I said 70% is theoretical and only 30% practical, I'm being actually quite generous. I'm being quite generous. One of the other benefits of this is that cabin crew gain confidence. And again, in a non-punitive environment, if you do it correctly, they'll ask you questions. They're not ashamed to understand something better. So they'll actually ask you. And if you do it in a practice, you can take them aside and you can show them, look, like I said, that's 70%. That's already fantastic. There's another 30% and we'll build it up with you together. So
and the negative side. So we had just once had a situation that on the ground some of our cabins shooted the slides because she didn't know that time how to disarm the slides properly. Yeah.
On our side here, just briefly, and I'll leave it to you. But our simulators, the commercial ones, have real-time slide inflation. So you can actually select from the iOS, from the instructor operating system, you can actually select an inflation or a non-inflation or a manual inflation. So it gives them a proper understanding. It's not just, we're not trying to train robots. We want them to think and think outside the box. Not just tick the box, think outside the box.
Thank you very much. Now, last but not least, Mr. Dr. Kai-Uwe Schroeder. He has too many titles to show them up all together, so we will limit it to just two of them. So he is the head of the Structural Mechanic and Lightweight Design and chair of the Senate of the RWTH Aachen University. Additionally, he is in the lead of dozens of innovative projects in North Rhine-Westphalia region. But let him continue on his own. So, Kai, it's your turn.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jan. Yeah. First of all, also a warm welcome to Mr. Al-Falas and Mr. Kammer from my side, and thank you much for this very impressive presentation you gave. I want to tell you a small story which Harald Kremer already started to tell. And this is about the role of North Rhine-Westphalia in aviation. And to do so, I will start my presentation. So I hope you see it. So it's about aviation in North Rhine-Westphalia, and not only the academic points, but also, of course, also the academia. But let me start with the first statement, that there is a lot of aviation activities in North Rhine-Westphalia. And as I said, Mr. Kremer started already with the industry, but I even want to start a little bit before with the airports in North Rhine-Westphalia. And here you see a map of all the airfields in North Rhine-Westphalia. And in fact, North Rhine-Westphalia is Germany's region with the highest number of airports, and which is, of course, due to the high numbers of people living in this area. So when you want to train something, or when you want to establish something like air traffic system, I think North Rhine-Westphalia is a very good location to do so. Mr. Kremer told you a lot of the aerospace economy here in North Rhine-Westphalia, and I also want to emphasize that North Rhine-Westphalia has a lot of companies and SMEs working in the field of aerospace, and in particular in the supply chain. And the large areas where the companies are located in are, of course, materials, production, manufacturing, but also simulation, software, and engineering and consulting. And of course, we also have some OEMs here in North Rhine-Westphalia, but of course, mainly on small aircrafts and less on large aircraft, which is maybe the reason that North Rhine-Westphalia is not so well known as a hometown of aviation. And last but not least, and now we are coming to my special field of expertise, this is research and development. Here in North Rhine-Westphalia, we have a large number of universities, but in particular linked to aviation, is the RWTH Aachen University, which is Germany's largest technical university, and also the University of Applied Sciences in Aachen. And both institutions host about 2,000 students in aerospace engineering. And this makes Aachen, in fact, one of the largest educational sites in Germany. So when you are looking for the people to fill up your ecosystems, I think Aachen is a good resource for it. Additional to that, we have the headquarters and also 4 institutes of the German Aerospace Center, which is the world's largest institution on aviation or aerospace science, and less research and development, but also very, very important for certification of new products is that we have the headquarters of the EASA here in Cologne. So I think you can agree that when I tell you that North Rhine-Westphalia is the region of aviation. The next thing I want to talk about is that North Rhine-Westphalia is positioning itself on the megatrends. And to approve this, let's have a look on the federal German research initiatives, which were started from the German government. First of all, the excellence clusters. Maybe it's not so known outside Germany, but within Germany, it was one of the most important initiatives by the German government. It was the so-called Excellence Initiative, where the universities could apply for to become so-called clusters. And this was a very competitive initiative. And in the end, the universities from North Rhine-Westphalia brought a very good performance, I think. And in particular, when you have a look on the clusters, which you can link somehow on the fields of interesting fields in aviation, you can see that we have the Fuel Science Center here located in Aachen. The Fuel Science Center, of course, where we do research on the new kind of fuels, biofuels, and in the context of sustainable aircraft fuels, I think this is a very interesting field. We have the cluster of the Internet of Production, where we are discussing the digitalization of production and the future of production, which is also located here in Aachen. And last but not least, the Matter and Light for quantum computing, where we are doing research in the new area of computing. And you see that we have all these megatrends here linked to so-called excellence clusters. But not only on the university level, but also on the external university level. We have the so-called Helmholtz cluster on the sustainable and infrastructure compatible hydrogen economy, which is linked to the Forschungszentrum Jülich, where the German government spends $1 billion in doing research on this very, very, very demanding field, where we try to establish here hydrogen as a new carrier for energy. But we are not talking of hydrogen, we are also talking of batteries. And here in North Rhine-Westphalia, we have the new research institution for battery cell production, which is also one of the largest projects here on battery cell research in Germany. And so I think you see that North Rhine-Westphalia is shaping also the future of aviation. But this is not enough. To our experience, even more important is not only having the ideas and doing research on these ideas, but also we have to bring these ideas to products. And here you see this, I think, well-known list of the so-called technology readiness levels, which are ranging from 1 to 9, from the idea to the products. In between, it depends on the ecosystem you are in. But I think the idea is clear. Now you have to, you need to establish an idea, and it's a long way to get it to an innovation, to a real product. And to host and to support such processes here in Aachen, we set up the Europe's largest research and innovation area, which currently consists of the so-called Campus West, where we also realized a lot of so-called clusters. You see all these buildings which are realized during the last 10 years. And all these centers now are topic focused, I will say. It's not the classic division of universities, you know, from European universities, but here we have a cluster on topics, on future topics like sustainable energy, photonics, heavy duty drives, smart logistics, and production engineering. And in these campuses, the universities, the institute, but also companies are coming together to do research on this future topics. And in addition to that, RWTH Aachen is developing the so-called New Campus West. And both together, this will bring RWTH Aachen to the largest research area here in Europe. To prove it with some figures, now we have 2 billion euros investment on Campus Melaten and Campus West. That means only for the buildings. We have 800,000 square meters of area. We have currently 420 companies which are enrolled in this model of the RWTH Aachen campus, and more than 260 institutes collaborating here, and also 3 Fraunhofer institutes and 1 Helmholtz institute. We have 30 centers. The center is such a topic focus, I will say, and 16 research clusters. And behind the research clusters, we have such a building. And 1 unique innovation factory where we really try to establish this process from the idea to a rather fast prototyping of a product. But this is not the end. Maybe you know that Germany, the German government, decided on an exit on the coal energy. And as the coal economy is one of the largest economies in North Rhine-Westphalia, North Rhine-Westphalia has to transform. And we want to transform by bringing the old industry to new industries, and in particular to aviation industry, and in the end to bring new jobs. And to do so, we started the so-called transformation strategy, which we call Eco to Air. And this transformation strategy has the goal to support this process from technology maturity, from idea to product, but also to bridge the gap between the level of the idea of the research and the product. And we all know that a lot of technologies die in this during this maturity chain, mostly between the stage 6 up to 8, and we call this the valley of death. And to bridge this valley of death, we invested here, and we developed here certain facilities, like the research airfield in Aachen-Metzbrück, the product launch center in aviation, which is a kind of model factory, I will say, where you can try to establish the best economic processes for the production of your products. The Center for Vertical Mobility, where we work a lot on drones, for example, and urban air mobility, and the integration of this new kind of aircrafts in the air traffic management. And we got a new institute from the German Research Center, which is a DLR KF. KF is a synonym for the small aircrafts. And with these facilities, we try to, like in the campus model shown before, we try to bring the industry to the field in Aachen, and to work together with the institutes on the new technologies, which bring the future into aviation. And here, this is an illustration of the research airfield in Aachen-Metzbrück. Of course, much smaller than the very impressive projects in Dubai. But I think also we are here on a good way to bring the future of aviation, and also the hometown of innovation in aviation here to North Rhine-Westphalia. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kai-Uwe Schroeder. And now we are through all those presentations, and I'm opening now our second part or second Q&A session. So if anybody wants to speak up or has any questions, or write it down via the chat, I will read it for you, or raise your hand so that you directly can directly speak with our speakers. Oh, not that much. So maybe the speakers themselves have questions to the others. So maybe how we can arrange arrange a connection between. We have one hand raised. So you may speak up. I don't know how to directly. Yeah, I can hear you. So you can address your question.
Yes, the question is, I just got it from Herr Kai Schroeder, that he is really impressed, and it's very interesting also the presentation. That I understood the NRW, North Rhine-Westphalia, our area, wants to get with Dubai together. It's right? In aviation.
So sorry, I didn't get the last part of your sentence.
Yes, the both area, UAE and North Rhine-Westphalia, they want to come together with for aviation project for the future. Yes.
Yes, of course. I think it's as Mr. Al-Falasi told, that this ecosystem, in particular, the connection to the players in the aviation industry and in the aviation economy, this is would be a large benefit for us. And what I could imagine is that when we think of this chain of technology development, that we could start with the ideas, and where we have all this education here in Aachen, maybe here in Aachen, and then when we go up with the majority of the technologies, that we shift this to the Arab Emirates, for example. I think there's a lot of models which could be possible, and yes, I'm very interested to collaborate with you.
Yes, I think this is the right review, because I'm speaking because I know the area Dubai. I have been there before 20 years ago, and I have been also a few years ago also in Dubai. I know I observe all this transformation and of development of this area. It's very nice. It's really amazing. And also, of course, I know North Rhine-Westphalia is our area. I'm settled in Düsseldorf. I'm also in the MET, Business Economics Wirtschaftsunion. That will be great also for both. It will be beneficial also for both sides, because I know in Germany we really offer them a place and area really is unique in Germany, from technical side, also from social side. Also, I know it's socialization very important for people where they come here from Dubai to here, because this environment, what we offer them, it's really unique in Germany, because we are so diversity here. We can really offer them for free time, leisure time, and the whole environment that we can really offer them. It's unique in Germany. That therefore it was very good, that Herr Schroeder was, giving this clue. I think it will be really best solution, or a really beneficial solution, both parts. And I know also the Dubaiana people, they like food, and let me say really, I know they can really find here all kind of food that never in Europe or in Germany, in other area can find it. I can say that also in Arabic, حضرتك أنا عارفة هنا أهلا بكم الفود الراحة اشتراككم أنت هنا أكيد ريلاكس كتير. Yeah,
Okay.
that was I want to say. Thank you very much for the audience.
Yep. Thank you very much for your question. Is there anybody else who would raise up with any sort of question? That doesn't seem so. I don't have anything in the chat yet. Anyway, for your information, for all of you, this webinar will be also available online. So it was recorded and we will share it online on YouTube via our YouTube channel. And for all of you who would be interested in future webinars, we have already other webinars such as AI and aviation in our pipeline. You can inform yourself on our website when it will be hosted and can also register for those webinars. So this is not the only webinar we are holding in this year. So we are just getting started, so to say. Maybe no, unfortunately not. So I'm a big thank you to all those speakers today, and it was a really pleasure to have you here. And there were a lot of insights from my side. Also, I know the German side, but especially from the Dubai side, it was a quite interesting presentation of the abilities and the strengths of your area. And maybe you get now some ideas how North Rhine-Westphalia can contribute to your growth, and how some hurdles could be managed with the know-how and workforce from North Rhine-Westphalia. Thank you very much.